So Saeed, I want to welcome you to the show today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So this is quite an extraordinary time we're in right now, and I know you and I've been talking a little bit about leadership and some of the things that you're grateful that you had just made decisions on in the past. So in history benefits the future. Maybe you can talk a little bit about some of those wins that you're experiencing now as it relates to some of the decisions you made over a year ago.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So we were, before February of 2018, we were 95% of our IT assets were on premise or in a private cloud, which made it very difficult for us to really deliver to the business fast enough. And I also noticed that we had a lot of single point of failure. Our disaster recovery was not in the best shape, etc. So in fact, actually before that, a year before that, we started our whole digital transformation and moving everything to the cloud as a first foundational step. So February of 2018, we went literally flip over almost a week from 95% being on premise to 95% being in the cloud, including our ERP system, our financial system, in our digital products, pretty much you name it moved, except for a few servers that remained in our data center. So that decision made it incredibly valuable when the COVID-19 hit us, and then Mayor Bowser made the decision to announce that the public health emergency. And we as an organization and the leadership sat down and talked about what would be the trigger for us to shut down the organization. And when we got that announcement, that same evening, we closed the organization. We informed all of our employees not to come to the office, and it was incredibly seamless. So all the investment that happened a year a year and a half prior, came into fruition instantly. So that was really a great moment to see how IT actually enabled the organization to move from probably, I would say, 90 or so percent being day in, day out in the office to 100% working remotely.
Okay, that's great. And then what are as we have an extended working from home experience now, and not just the quote unquote remote worker, but like the whole company's remote. What kind of opportunities are you seeing developing that have been unexpected?
So providing help desk support remotely, especially when you have hardware involved. So this is one of the challenges that we've been dealing with. Onboarding new employees. So how do you do that? And so looking at shipping hardware to employees to their homes, but we need to set it up, you need to configure it, and so on. So that has been challenging, but we came with some solutions and ideas to address that, including it being shipped to our help desk folks to their homes, working on them from their homes, setting them up and configuring them, and then again shipping them to the employees. So it's a slower process, but it's working. So that's one of the challenges. We've had other challenges related to the finance process, where we pay some vendors through checks, or we receive physical checks, but the office is shut down. So we had to go and modify that process and talk to our vendors and make sure that we have their accounts, their bank accounts, where we can transfer the money electronically. So that's another interesting challenge that we faced.
Yeah, that's quite interesting one. We've been talking about that a lot because there's been a lot more ACH wire transfer fraud,
exactly.
And mainly because of process breakdowns when Bob in finance just can't yell over to Harry in finance to approve certain payments and things of that nature.
Right, yeah.
So it's,
yeah. So we, tweaking that process, making it proof, and making sure that it's all electronic. I think COVID-19 forced us to think to go from, being, some percentages that is still analog and is still manual and requires human interactions face to face, to really moving to 100% running the organization completely digitally. So that was, we were ready for it from an infrastructure perspective, from an IT perspective, the, telecommunication, collaboration, all of these aspects of it. As I said, in February 2018, or 2019, I'm sorry, February 2019, we moved everything into the cloud, and we were ready to have the organization work 100% remotely, aside from these processes that required further improvements and digitalization.
Why does the cloud help you right now? The cloud is a big word, and so a server in the cloud, why does that give you an advantage? Or is it more than a server in a cloud? So we talked about on-prem versus cloud, but what do you, when you say that, what do you mean in particular?
Okay, so there are a lot, when we say the cloud, is exactly the way we said, there's a lot that's carried into that word. It's not just the server, it's actually look at it from a service perspective rather than a server, the hardware, but the hardware is the foundational thing. So imagine in the past, I look at the cloud in terms of providing services to the business, enabling the different business features, the different digital products. One of the key things that we do as the National Council on Aging is provide digital products to older adults and services. And I wanted to make sure that those services are flexible, that can be scaled up and down, that new features can be added. And when I looked at the way we were prior to February 2019, if I wanted to enable a new feature, let's say dynamic search onto in one of our digital products, benefits checkup as an example, I would have to go and buy the hardware, install the software, set it up, start the programming, etc. A process that would have taken months. While right now we are on AWS, and I would ask the team to spin off a server, spin off the software side of that service, not just the hardware, but the software itself out of the box, and instantly I have a feature that can offer the business. So that made it so incredibly, I think beyond the COVID-19, if we look at the cloud, it gave us this incredible benefit of being able to provide new features, new services to our customers, to the business, in much faster ways. We worked on a new digital product, and creating a development environment, QA environment, production environment was instant. It took hours.
You're saying the cloud is giving you some speed. It's giving you the ability to respond to your market, which are the older Americans, and you can in these digital enhancements you can make essentially on the fly. And when you this decision to move that development environment into AWS was a big one, because it gave you some agility now, that while it doesn't matter whether you're at home or in the office in DC, you're going to be able to continue to play offense with those changes.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I want to add also the when you look at AWS, if you count the number of products that are available out of the box, they're in the thousands, if not in the tens of thousands. And for us, when I want to enable a new feature, I could just take that feature out of the box. A good example, we want to build a profile module to know who's logged into which product, etc. So out of the box, we were able to take Cognito, this is the AWS product, plug it into one of our products, and instantly it was up and running. If we were on premise and we wanted to build that kind of feature, it would have taken us months upon months. While it was really instant, a few configurations and a few APIs integrating it with the product, and voila, it was readily available. It took literally hours, maybe days, to get that up and running, versus if we had to do it on-premise using our software, it would have taken months of testing, installation, configuration, coding, et cetera, et cetera.
That's fantastic. And so how about related to this new opportunity where you're having a distributed workforce? What are you finding? What are you finding that beyond like the finance processes that have to be cleaned up? What other opportunities are you finding within either business processes or finding opportunities with human talent and capabilities that they're sort of latent, but now you're discovering them? Like what other opportunities is it giving you as a leader in the situation we're in?
So I'll talk about the COVID-19 actually that's pushing us to to reflect on the services that we're giving. So look, everything we do has to be connected to serving our customers and to serving our business, to serving our business partners. And so when COVID-19 hit us, aside from having to get the infrastructure and operations 100% remote, it also, we started at the executive level having conversations. Well, now that this is happening, how can we help more and what are the opportunities? So we looked at it from an opportunity for providing additional services to our customers. That's really was at the focus of our conversations. Of course, once you take that, you put the customer at the center and you look at the services that we want to do, then you look at it and it trickles down to what IT needs to additionally do, what digital marketing needs to do to also support that, what the business partners need to do. And so when we looked at that, we realized that our customers need a lot of help from the senior centers. We are a membership organization for senior centers, over 1,000 senior centers around the US. 85% of them had to shut down, and the other ones really were operating to try and support older adults with food and medicine and so on. And this is when we realized we need to step in and support, and we realized we needed, aside from technology, we needed also money, and we needed people and volunteers and all of that. So NCA immediately went on a big campaign, and we created what we call the COVID-19 Fund to try and support those senior centers, to try and support our customers in general. And we also, one of our functions is we advocate for the older adults, and we had our team on the Hill go and advocate for providing funds to older adults specifically and to senior centers to try and make sure that they are viable businesses beyond the COVID-19. So obviously all of that, we had to go and update our website with content to help our customers. And with that, I had to instantly look for a graphic. We have our team working, but our team was completely busy with providing content and providing graphics. So I had to online find older colleagues of mine that I worked with, rally them to come and support us and help us with the redesign of the website and creating new content and so on. So it's been interesting and challenging period, definitely demanding from the time perspective and from a coordination perspective, getting the team that's working remotely and trying to get everybody on Zoom, trying to have a conversation. We had one of our meetings was a design meeting, and it was on Zoom. So imagine how to draw and putting some diagrams and then sharing them and exchanging those ideas until you come to a conclusion. Yes, this is the right design, and going back and forth, all of this online. So definitely it has created some challenges, but it's all, I think I feel like our team is excited, is energized, is feeling that we really can make a difference in this crisis.
I think we're all in a short amount of time going to get about 5 years worth of testing of communication in about 1 to 3 months.
Yes.
I think we're getting, there's no dip your toes in the water. I wonder if this works. It's like, we got to test it.
Water. Yep.
And test it now.
Yep. Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I find that as a theme of collaboration and keeping that there's I'm sure someone out there is measuring it, but there's some effect that you get with having people in a room together. There's some energetic, there's some sharing of ideas, there's an energy, and I'm not saying that Zooms are bad. I'm just saying it's a different experience on a Zoom, and we have to figure out because we're not in VR yet. We're not, and maybe VR is our gateway into it at some point. Getting that immersive experience, but definitely
Yes.
when you're 2D with a human being, so did you settle
It
in on
got,
Zoom?
yeah, it's got its limitations indeed, and I agree with you. I agree with you that being in a room, especially, we started conversation about how we're going to look like post COVID-19 as an organization, even like in terms of physical space, in terms of when do we go back to the office, and
Yeah,
how would we look like, and do we actually, now that we've been working 100% remotely, do we actually need to have an office? I mean, we're asking those questions, not that we're answering them. I don't want to make the impression that we're shutting down the office, the physical office. No, I don't think so. But one of them, it crossed my mind that definitely one of the things, if I try to imagine our office, it'll be a lot of conference rooms and a lot of cubicles. And we go to the office for face-to-face meetings when there is the need to do the design and have direct conversation and draw things on the board and have these immersive design sessions that really requires our physical presence. But this is we're already talking about post COVID-19. I mean, it's going to take time. It's probably not in 2 or 3 months. Who knows? Maybe it'll take longer, even a year or so. But there will be an end to this virus. There is going to be a post COVID-19. And we need to start as an organization, and overall, I think as a society, we need to start thinking and imagining how is that going to look like. And from my perspective, I'm already seeing different things happening. I don't think we do need everybody to be in the office at all times or 80% of the time. I think there is an opportunity. We don't need this massive space, office space. I think we need less of it. Our infrastructure is in the cloud already. The 5% that remains, we'll figure out how we move it to the cloud, and we're actually in that process doing it now, remotely. So there will be, the world will look different. We will look different as an organization. The world and the IT world also will look different.
I've been having a lot of talks about 100-day sprints, and what does it look like the day the doors open, and what will your first 100 days look like as a leader when we're given the green light to return. And I like that because I think there's still quite a bit of unknown, and we can kind of control what we do in 100-day increments, but we can't really foresee with so much uncertainty what it's a year, 2 years, or with our strategic plan or whatever. But can we work in these segments? And what is your gut reaction as far as what you're going to be leaning into in your first 100 days?
Post going back to the office, I
Yeah,
think
once we're given the green light.
yeah, I think it's going to be, again, looking from a perspective of our customers, where they are, what's the impact, what are the services, what have we accomplished to help them in this crisis. I think that's going to be, and then looking at how can we continue to push certain services that were not available. I look, it's sad to say this, but this crisis is also an opportunity for us to emphasize certain aspects of the needs that the older adults have in the US. And we look at the statistics, statistics are grim in terms of, their health, their savings, and so on. So there are a lot of opportunities there that we can help. And I think we are, as an organization, looking at this as an opportunity to focus on older adults and make sure that we continue to serve them. So I'm looking at a number of our digital products that we have started, and we're looking at a digital product that is specifically related to COVID-19 and supporting older adults with them, taking it beyond COVID-19. What are additional support that we need to provide our customers so their lives are better? I mean, our mission is, having older Americans live a healthy and a more financially secure life. So to that end, we need to push the envelope further, push our services, push ourselves to make sure that our voices are heard better, our products are reach a wider range of customers. And I think one customer segment that we're already realizing that we need to lean on is the family caregivers. So we've been working with professional caregivers, with the senior centers, and directly with the consumers. And I think one of the things that we're realizing is that we need to work with family caregivers as a customer segment that we have not focused on, because there are customers who can do certain things on their own.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that we're working on right now is partnering with a private sector a company, a partner of us, and we're looking at providing devices to older adults, from smart speakers to tablets and smartphones. But it requires, what we're realizing, it requires some setup, it requires some support, remote support, etc. And we are ready to do it, but we do also need, I think there's an opportunity for us to work with the family caregivers who can help us with setting up, even remotely, for their parents and for the ones that they care for.
Well, this is fantastic, Saeed. I really appreciate for jumping on to this, the next 100-day challenge here, and giving hope and inspiration giving people a gateway into the wins that you're having, that are IT leaders around the world. So I do appreciate you for sharing your wisdom here.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Saeed. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.